Have you ever felt like you're constantly walking on eggshells in a relationship? Or maybe that you're always the one giving more? Today, we're really plunging into that intricate dance of relationship dynamics and, the true essence of attraction. We've spent time sifting through quite a stack of insights on how control and maybe perceived value truly play out in our connections. And it's led us to this compelling overarching question. What if the most powerful form of connection isn't about manipulating others at all? What if it's about, well, illuminating yourself from within?
It's fascinating because we often hear that word controlling someone in a relationship, and it sounds, well, manipulative, doesn't it? But what if the ultimate form of control is actually letting go of trying to control? What we're seeing really is that the real power isn't in trying to handle other people. It's about becoming that radiating light yourself.
Okay, let's unpack this a bit then, because lots of people do feel controlled or maybe taken advantage of in their relationships.
Mm.
Our investigation suggests there's kind of a common thread running through these experiences.
Mm.
What's really at the heart of why someone might feel, manipulated by a partner?
Well, it appears that this often stems from something our investigation points to as preferential love. Basically, this is where your emotional needs are sort of laid bare, right? They're way more exposed, significantly greater than your partner's needs. And that creates a profound imbalance. Think about someone who maybe right from the start constantly needs reassurance, or their happiness just seems totally dependent on their partner's attention.
Hmm.
That kind of emotional vulnerability. It's like showing all your cards in a poker game before anyone's even placed a bet. You've given away your hand.
Ah, okay. So you're exposed.
Exactly. And what's truly fascinating here is how some partners seem to leverage this imbalance. We found they engage in these extreme push-pull dynamics, playing hard to get, maybe even using subtle forms of spiritual control, using shared beliefs or emotional guilt to sway your choices. They're often running what really amount to obedience tests, little tests to see how far you'll go. And what's intriguing is they're simultaneously trying to dim your own light, often without you even noticing it's happening. It's almost like they're directing this poorly staged play where the main actor just keeps fading further and further into the background, and somehow everyone watching just thinks, oh, well, that's just part of the script.
Right, like it's supposed to be that way. So it sounds like there's often quite an act involved, especially early on. We've looked at how they might draw you in. But what happens once you're in? What does our analysis indicate about how a partner might present themselves when they're pursuing someone? How does that set the stage?
Well, during that chase phase, the pursuer often adopts what we've kind of termed a deep lover persona.
Hmm.
They're essentially putting on a show, creating this image of someone incredibly capable, courageous, decisive. The insights we've examined suggest they want you to believe they're exceptionally unique, like the kind of person you'd be absolutely foolish to let go, that you'll never find anyone quite like them again. It's almost like they show up with this perfectly customized, you-sized hole in their heart, just waiting for you to fill it. No assembly required, just slot right in.
Huh, okay. The perfect fit, supposedly.
Supposedly. And they generate what one consistent finding describes as a product experience. It's designed to make you, well, fall hard. They use tactics, strategies, and what seems like immense sincerity. They create this feeling that you've found your soulmate, right? Someone who just gets you completely. But what we're seeing is this is often a very carefully constructed performance. You get hooked, partly because you've kind of emotionally descended from your own high position, maybe your initial independence or sense of self-worth, and that allows them to exert this sort of downscaling influence over time.
Okay, here's where we take a closer look at that trajectory then. What happens after the initial spark? As relationships move into deeper commitment, maybe even marriage, family life. Does that perceived value, that spark, does it shift?
Yeah, evidence strongly points to a pattern of, let's call it value depreciation. It's like inflation, but for relationships.
Hmm.
After the dating phase, that initial mystery, the thrill of the conquest, that can definitely fade. And our analysis indicates that after marriage, one's perceived value can seemingly drop, sometimes by half or even two-thirds. You become sort of everyday, ordinary.
Wow, that much.
It seems so in terms of perception. Then, after childbirth, there can be a further decline, often associated with, physical changes, fatigue, maybe the perceived loss of that goddess-like aura they might have initially projected onto you.
Right. The practicalities of life kick in hard.
Exactly. And then if one partner, often the woman historically, becomes a full-time homemaker without an independent income, the perceived value can plummet even further. It's linked to the loss of that professional image or external validation. What our investigation seems to reveal is this shift where the individual might be described, perhaps unfairly, as becoming prone to complaining, nagging, self-pity,
Hmm.
seen by the partner as becoming this dependent, often resentful figure. But the interesting twist here is it's not necessarily that the partner fundamentally changed their core personality. Rather, the perceived value of the other person dropped so low in their eyes that they just no longer feel the need to put in the effort,
Hmm.
to perform, to coax, to tolerate. It just feels like too much work. It's almost like they signed up for a luxury sports car experience, right? All
Right.
shiny and exciting, and now they feel like they're driving a minivan.
Ouch.
Yeah. I mean, it still gets the job done, gets the kids to school, but where's the thrill for the driver? That initial excitement is gone.
Okay. That's quite a stark picture.
Yeah.
So if you're someone listening and feeling maybe stuck in that kind of cycle, what does all this mean for you? How can you avoid this sort of brainwashing, as you put it, and really reclaim your power, your light?
That's the crucial question, isn't it? Why accept this gradual erosion of self? Why let your light dim? What we're consistently seeing is that genuine strength in relationships, and frankly in life, it comes from embodying what we might call a self-sufficient personality, radiating your own light rather than constantly trying to get it from external sources like your partner's approval. The concept is actually quite profound and maybe counterintuitive. The best way to control a dynamic isn't to control it all. It's to shine so brightly yourself that the dynamic naturally shifts.
So less focus on the other person, more on yourself.
Precisely. Our research indicates that stronger individuals, they tend to operate differently. They focus more on facts, on reality, not solely on emotions driving everything. Or if emotions are involved, they're rooted in a clear sense of value exchange. It's about mutual worth, about being, equally matched in what you bring. Now, this isn't to say relationships are some cold, sterile calculation, not at all. But our sources highlight that even within deep affection, there's often this subconscious or sometimes conscious assessment of mutual contribution and worth. There's less room for just vague lovey-dovey fluff or relying solely on companionship value or emotional value if it's not backed by something tangible, by mutual respect for each other's strengths and contributions.
Yeah.
And ironically, relationships built on this foundation, this mutual self-sufficiency and clear value exchange, they tend to be far more stable, much more resilient. Why? Because they seem to align better with fundamental human nature. Think of it less like trying to merge two incomplete halves and more like a successful business merger. Everyone brings something significant to the table, right? And nobody's asking for a piggyback ride to the board meeting because they can't walk themselves.
That's a great analogy. So it's about maintaining your own standing.
Absolutely. The drive is to constantly elevate yourself, to become worthy in your own eyes first of better people, better opportunities, better treatment. Otherwise, you're not even really sitting at the poker table of choice. You risk getting entangled with those who might consciously or unconsciously drag you down, dim your light. We found that when someone emits this kind of like overflowing inner light and warmth, their love isn't about needing the other person to love them back in a specific way, or even about tallying up how much they give versus get. It's about acting from an authentic internal place, following their own will, believing fundamentally in value exchange, what they offer and what they receive, and being completely, utterly self-sufficient. That's what it means to be your own source of light and power.
So we've really journeyed through how that dance of perceived value can play out, haven't we? From the initial, maybe performative chase right through to the long-term dynamics. And you've heard why truly shining your own light, focusing on your own growth and sufficiency, might just be the ultimate form of attraction and relationship strength. It really sounds like it's about building this foundation of inherent, unshakable value within yourself, rather than constructing a crumbling tower based on someone else's expectations or validation.
Exactly. And if we connect this to the bigger picture, maybe the ultimate takeaway is this. True relational strength isn't found in trying to intertwine two halves, constantly leaning on each other just to feel complete. Instead, maybe it's about two complete self-luminous wholes coming together, each one radiating their own light, choosing to share it. Which really leaves you with an important question to consider, doesn't it? What aspect of your own light are you ready to ignite right now? For yourself, first and foremost, and then for the kind of connection you truly deserve.